Here, at the Tampa office of the FBI, the Wall of Honor pays tribute to all special agents killed in the line of duty. It's just like those you see at all 56 FBI field offices around the country, a common thread wherever you're assigned to remember our fallen brothers and sisters. This year, the Society remembers the lives of two agents, Jack Kohler and Ron Williams. Both were killed on June 26, 1975 at the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in South Dakota. We honor them and celebrate their lives as friends and relatives share their memories of these brave agents.
Jack was a really loyal and a dedicated type guy to anything he was involved in, and always in a good mood. Never heard him complaining. Never had anything negative to say about anybody else. He was just always positive and just a delight to be around. He was very, very proud to have been a member of the Los Angeles Police Department and extremely proud to be an FBI agent. He just loved the Bureau.
Ron was real lively, real funny. He was the type of person that would pick you up if you had a down day.
His humor and his smile was just infectious.
It's rare that I ever saw him without a smile on his face, except for his official photograph, like on the Martyrs Wall at the FBI. He looks so very stern there. I thought maybe somebody painted that expression on his face, because I never saw him that he wasn't smiling.
You used to look at him and you'd say, man, I wish I had that magnetism.
He was very charming, that's for sure, and a very good-looking guy. To me, he looked like an FBI agent. He just fit the part.
My name is Susan Gregg, and I'm Jack's youngest sister. We had a family of 4 of us, and he was the oldest, and there was 7, 8 years in between all of us.
I think he emulated a lot of my dad's characteristics. He was probably most like our father in personality, most like him in appearance, and certainly they had the same first name.
I remember he was quiet and observing, but he was also a real jokester, you know. Jack and Stephen, my brother, would lock my sister and I out on the front porch. He could be a real tease to us.
I think, like most kids in those days, as an older brother, he probably mostly ignored me. Unless I did something that irritated him. Summer vacations were typically, we would pack up the family and all the gear and go to Yosemite for like a week.
Those are the days we had 6 people in a car, and we would just take off and not think anything of it. And no air conditioning. We didn't have air conditioning. It was just good times together. It was great. It was great. I'll never forget Yosemite.
My name is Dan Williams. I am Ron's first cousin. My dad and Ronnie's dad were brothers. Ron and I were very close. We had a very good life. He and I, because we're so close to our ages, spent a lot of time together, had a lot of fun. In Glendale, you know, it's a big city. We used to ride our bikes downtown and just spend the whole day goofing around like 13-year-old boys would do.
My name's Sharon Williams. I'm married to Dan, and I met Ronnie in 1965. He just didn't feel like a stranger when I met him. He gave me a big hug, and he had that ear-to-ear grin, and he was silly and fun and put me totally at ease.
His dad and mom were very sweet and caring, and I know he loved his mom and dad very much. Ronnie had a real good family life, and I think that had a lot to do with the way his personality was. His dad was the same way, quiet but funny, very sweet, caring, would do anything for you.
I mean, being in the FBI was pretty unbelievable to all of us. It was pretty cool.
It was when he was in college that he really decided that that was what he wanted to do. And, oh, of course, my parents were so proud of him. We all were.
He excelled in everything. I remember him going to Quantico and doing well. I remember my parents saying how well he did. He was very good at it, and he loved it. He loved every aspect of the FBI.
Ronnie did what he wanted to do when he joined the FBI. He just told me how much he enjoyed the FBI, how the people were so friendly and took care of you, and he loved it.
I'm Dave Williams, and I came into the FBI with Ron Williams, and we were the last class to come in through training in the old post office building. I could probably best describe Ron as being California laid back, and his nickname was California, and he just looked and acted like a laid back Californian. You know, nothing was really upset him. He was probably the nicest human being you would ever want to meet in the whole room.
My name is Pat Johnson. I got to know Ron the very first day of the new agents training. Ron Williams was the nicest guy in the class. He was respected because he was simply nice to everybody. Ron is a pilot, and I was a pilot, although not nearly as good as Ron. And on the occasion of the 4th of July vacation, my wife came to visit. Ron said, "Hey, let's go get a plane and go flying." And I said, "Great idea. We can fly my wife around D.C."
It was all a buzz that weekend, and then we went on a little flight, and he scared the bejeebies out of me with a few drops and turns, and I think he probably enjoyed scaring me, so. But it was an exciting time.
My name is Jim Huggins. I first met Jack Kohler in approximately 1971 when we both were assigned to the Denver Division. And from that point on, we became very close friends. He was one of the best agents I'd ever worked with. He was top of his class, I think, just about everything, physical fitness, shooting, just a real perfect example of a law enforcement officer. We both liked the outdoors. We both liked to snow ski, and we liked mountain climbing, so we started participating in those activities together. When you first met him, he was kind of quiet and reserved, but once you got to know him, he had an outstanding sense of humor, and he was always joking and kidding around.
My official bureau name was William Hayden Matins, known as Bill. I met Jack in Albuquerque, where he was a first office agent. I have a background in law enforcement, and of course he was a former LA police officer, so we kind of struck a chord, and I became his training agent, although I'm not sure who was training who. If you needed a good guy for an arrest or, you know, just to have a beer with and talk about your family life, he was the right guy. He cared about people. He was always there to support you and never made a big deal of it, you know. That's the kind of guy Jack was.
My name is Art Turner. I knew Ron Williams real well. We were both assigned to the Rapid City RA in South Dakota in 1973. Ron was a great guy, and I can honestly say that I didn't know anybody in Rapid City that he did not get along with really well, or that anybody that did not have a lot of respect for him. He had a real good understanding of people and what made them tick. He had very good instincts.
My name's June Williams Turner. If I had one word to describe Ron, handsome. He was so handsome you could just sit and look at him. It was like a moth to a flame when he walked in, and it was like, oh, Ron Williams is here. He was just gorgeous. He really was.
A lot of the women flocked to him. He was kind of the star of the resident agency out there as far as single men. You know, we always joked him about the girlfriends he had and how he could spend 3 minutes with them and have them eating out of his hand. We had several that claimed that they were engaged to him at the same time.
He was just so much fun to be around. He was an incredibly wonderful person.
We got to really know them well and travel together with them on a couple of trips. You could tell he just adored his family. He loved his boys. Outstanding dad. Yeah, he was so proud of those boys that he just really lived for them.
At least one weekend a month, we were in the Sandia Mountains, weather permitting, and we would go up there and drink a little beer and barbecue stuff and take the families and play in the woods. And a close-knit group of about 12 agents and their wives and their kids, yeah.
The things he adored, you could tell. The things that were important to him meant everything in the world to him. His family was everything to him.
I did find a picture of Jack with the two boys. and him just looking at them, and I love that picture.
He did adore his sons, and he didn't have enough time with them.
I don't think he ever had a bad day in his life, until unfortunately the last one.
The day that it happened, I came home to my mom and dad's at the time, and one of the agents was standing out on the porch. He had a look on his face, and I thought, what's going on here? And I walked up, and he grabbed me and hugged me, and he said, "Ronnie's been killed." And he said, "I'm here to be with the family." The FBI stayed with us every day, took us to the funeral, and I think without them there, it would have been harder. It helped us a lot.
It breaks my heart for Aunt Ellen. Her goal in life was to remember Ronnie and to go to all the FBI functions, all the memorials, and provide everything she could to them so that he wouldn't be forgotten.
Ellen and Ron were so close. I think he was just the most incredible son. He was so compassionate and loving to her. He absolutely adored his mother.
She misses her son so much. Without the FBI, she would be lost down in L.A. They do everything for her. They visit with her constantly. Without the FBI, Aunt Ellen would have had a really bad time. The FBI is her family.
When he was killed, the day before, I talked with him, and we were planning a fishing trip up to Wyoming for that weekend to go trout fishing. And he was all upbeat. We got the call the next day of our SWAT team to report to Pine Ridge, and I had no idea what was going on. And when we got off the plane up there, one of the agents from Minneapolis came over and said, "We've got a couple agents have been killed out here on the reservation." So immediately I said, "Who were they?" He said, "Jack Kohler and Ron Williams." I was completely devastated when I heard the names. And that right there, I mean, that's something that's stuck with me forever.
He was a consummate police officer. He was a damn good one. So focused and dedicated. And he went into a situation that he could have never anticipated, and he made the very best of it, and he gave his life.
When they cleaned out his hotel room, they sent me, a couple of months later, a birthday card. My birthday was in May, and they found it in his things in his hotel room. I still have it. It meant everything, that just to know that he was thinking of me as well at a time that he was so busy and had so many other things on his mind. Brought a smile to my face in a time that there wasn't much to smile about, and it still does.
To lose a brother who was passionate in his life and wanted to help people. In 28 years, he didn't have a whole lot of time, but I do think he made a difference. He did to all of us.
I like to think of Jack. He loved his job. He loved his family. He would have loved his grandchildren. And he is, looking down at his grandchildren like that.
It was quite a loss to lose Ron. He could have touched so many people in this world, and he did. You can look at his picture and you can realize that, hey, this was such a tragic loss. It was such a loss.
We think of what might have been a wonderful man who should have had a family and been a grandfather and enjoyed retirement and been there for his mom. We'll just all never, ever forget him.
I just want to say that I think of him every day, if he can hear me. I think of Ronnie every day. And Ron, if you can hear me, I love you, buddy.